Forspoken, previously known as Project Athia, drops tomorrow at the time of me recording this, but something tells me it's gonna be a major flop. This is gonna be bad for Square Enix's focus on appealing to the Western audience, but as we've all been saying anyway, the best way that Square Enix can appeal to a Western audience is to stick with their JRPG focus, stick with the Japanese focus. Americans are weebs. We like it. You don't have to try to appeal to us and do cheesy, lame things, because trust me, Western entertainment is not in a good place right now. This is not something that they need to mimic. There's a reason why they had to sell Tomb Raider off. There's a reason why their more Western focused properties have not been succeeding, and we really need a big change. Now let's dive into what's going on with Forspoken. Now this is just dreadful. I'm telling you, absolutely dreadful. I'm going to keep it on a small screen just so I don't get any sort of copyright strikes. I don't think I will with like gameplay especially, but still with video games. But I'm going to play this. The most egregious part of this is the dialogue anyway. And I'm telling you, as somebody who, once they announced this game, I was extremely excited for it at the initial teaser trailer and announcement. I was like, okay, this might be one of my most anticipated games right now. But once they started dropping dialogue, that's when crap hit the fan. Just listen. I'll full screen it.
Did I just do that?
Well, definitely with my assistance.
I did not just do that.
We did.
I just moved shit with my mind.
Perhaps our connection has somehow awoken some abilities.
I just moved shit with my mind.
I just keep hearing I.
I just moved shit with my freaking mind! Yeah, okay, that is something I do now. I do magic, talk to sentient cuffs, kill jacked up beasts. You know what? I'll probably fly next.
Now you're just being ridiculous.
Oh, that's too far. Good to know there's a line.
If you could just master these new abilities, with my help, of course.
Did you not just see me take out that gnarly beast? Oh, bring it, you mangled monsters.
So that's what we're working with. And we already had like a little drop of a trailer or some promo material, little video a few months ago that was just as bad, with just absolutely egregious writing. This is what we're suffering with the West right now. It's just terrible writers. I think these people just majored in gender studies, and I think they're just being hired based on whatever qualification physically that they have instead of what their capabilities are, because this is awful. I don't even think, and I know a lot of times it's fun as millennials and stuff to dunk on Gen Z and be like, hey, y'all, this sucks. I'm not about whatever the humor is, but I don't even think Gen Z, I don't even know if they would like this. This is obnoxious. It's annoying. I said right here, I was so hyped for this game until they showed the terrible dialogue. Now I refuse. Just seeing these snippets make me mad. They make me actually feel angry because it's so annoying and obnoxious. I don't know how anybody thought that was a good idea, because when I play video games, I want a really cool experience. I want to be able to have an escape. I do love some good comedy relief on some good characters that can pull it off, but this isn't funny. This is annoying. Like, oh yeah, we're doing that now. I do that now. And what am I going to do next? I just blew crap up. Yeah, that's what I did. I can't. And when you really look at like the Project Athia teaser announcement, it just looked really cool, right? This just looked cool. It didn't look obnoxious. It didn't look annoying. Look at that. Look at this. A lot more stylish looking, because what we're seeing here, it's not the worst graphics or the worst design I've ever seen in my life, but it just lacks life, And I feel this happens when game companies just do face scans and call it a day, and they don't actually add enough unique artistic freedom with it. If you really, and I want to explain like a good example of this, right? Let's just pull up like a good example of this is Capcom. They have done face scans with their characters, like with Devil May Cry or with or also with, hold on, let's pull these up, with Devil May Cry or with a lot of their like Resident Evil stuff, right? Look at this face scan right here, right? Look at this Nero right here, Dante right here, these face scans right here with Lady and Nico V, they just look good. They look so much better. They didn't just face scan it and call it a day. They still added their own artistic touch to it. It doesn't just look completely identical to their models. And the thing is whenever these companies are just doing face scans and not adding enough creative freedom to those face scans, it makes the characters look worse than the models themselves as well, because Ella right here, she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. I followed her on Instagram after the Charlie's Angels announcement. I had no intention of actually watching the movie, which, because of course it was stupid, but I just saw her and I thought, wow, she's so pretty. I want to follow her on Instagram. And I did just that because she's a gorgeous woman. But this is not doing her justice. And they always, I don't know what it is. It's just this lifeless, soulless thing. It's just scan of a beautiful woman. And it just totally, so it's unfortunate to see that. Not only that, but now let's look at this, right? We got the obnoxious dialogue and stuff. People have been memeing it. And right here in this article, it says Forspoken review codes not sent out to multiple outlets by Square Enix. Forspoken reviews will be limited ahead of its release date. As we all know, anytime a game limits who its review codes go to, that's not a good sign. This is probably going to get majorly dunked on. But let's look further because, of course, gaming journalists will be gaming journalists and be extremely cringe, and they got to make all this about race instead of just, hey, if this was a good game, if this didn't have such cringy dialogue, we'd have been excited for it. We already had the teaser announcement with the black woman as the lead character. Nobody even thought anything of it. Nobody blinked twice. Nobody had to be nobody was hating. Nobody was because people want to act like gamers are racist or whatever, which is absolutely idiotic because we have had a variety of video game characters of different races and all sorts of backgrounds and all that. And we played those games. If they're good games, we played them. And the problem is with characters that if you are inserting a character and you just want the points for it, like, oh, look, guys, this is a girl. By the way, this is a girl lead. Hey, guys, let's keep pointing out that she's female. That's when it gets obnoxious. Same with any other unique identifying factors, physical traits, and in this case with her being black. And so, and you know what? I don't even recall Square Enix saying anything about her being black or any marketing focusing on her being black. And so good for them because they were just focusing on, hey, the game's going to be good, blah, blah, blah. Like that's what they were, that's how they marketed it, right? Unfortunately, the game doesn't seem to be good due to the dialogue, but it has nothing to do with her being black. But anyway, of course, game journalists do what game journalists do, and instead of actually focusing on games and playing games, and it'd be nice if they actually liked video games, but I digress. They've got to make everything about race, and in this case, Sophia Narwitz. Y'all know I love me some Sophia Narwitz, said a character, or she was sharing basically what they said here. So basically shared these screenshots. This is Forspoken finally gets better shortly before it ends. Okay, so it sounds like it starts terrible and then it gets decent before it ends. But then it says medieval fantasy in a bland open world. Now, this is a lot whenever, these journos, and in this case, of course, a white dude wrote this article because, of course, they don't want to say a game with a black lead is bad. So it must be terrible for them to say that, these woke journalists. So here says, he says, before I wrap up, let's spare a word for Frey, a notionally black protagonist who joins a growing trend in media of putting black people in worlds where race is inconsequential, except the game is very insistent that Frey is a New Yorker, mysterious birth or no, spending her entire life up until this point growing up in our decidedly non-fantasy world where blackness is not a non-factor. Regrettably, Frey's identity is thinly written and awkwardly deployed as the story leans not only on stereotypical narratives but trauma as a plot device. And then Sophia here says, a character isn't truly black until they're called a bunch of slurs and systematically oppressed by the governing body. Do better, game devs. Like, praise be the white dude who wrote this review. Of course, just making everything about the character being black. And again, I don't know what the game is like because at the time of me recording this, the game hasn't dropped yet. So I don't know if the game even does any of those cringy, make everything about race, because look, dude, even black people are sick of it, and I don't blame them. I know as a woman, when I see female characters and stuff, I just want to see it organic, natural. I don't want the game to remind me that, hey, look, she's a woman. Wow, she's a woman. Wow, let's give her some female struggles. Let's make every single bad thing that could possibly happen to a woman happen to her, like in She-Hulk, for example. Let's just bombard people with that so that we can pretend like this is reality, that a woman can't even exist without this happening all day, every single day, which obviously isn't true, but it's just like, I want an escape with a tough, fun female character like Lara Croft, classic Lara Croft, for example, where the story is not about her being a woman and I don't have to look at some manufactured misogyny in the game. So I think a lot of this is also going on with, black gamers as well. They don't want to only play games where everything is just about, when the black character, everything is about racism. I'm sure many of them would love to play a game with a black lead. We've seen black characters before, back before all these identity politics were just running even more rampant to try to divide people, but where it was just an escape and you didn't have to be reminded that the character was black and you didn't have to manufacture a bunch of racism in the game constantly. And so here we have Delacroix Hero. He says, why can't she just be a character who's black? And why does she need to have to deal with racial issues? I don't get what it is with white people, person who wrote this, the guy, not Sophia, Sophia's white too, but just saying, the dude who wrote this article is who this is directed at. Wanting to see black people dealing with racial issues in movies, shows, and games. Isn't that kind of racist? Isn't that kind of racist of this guy to where he can't see a black person without politicizing them? He can't see a black person without thinking of identity politics, and he wants to see black people, he wants to see fictional black people suffer with racism in a game. He wants them to manufacture that. Same with, look at the reboot Tomb Raiders, which I constantly am complaining about. Look how they took a previously very strong female character who was a good fantasy escape, right? They took her and then they put her in the game and they want you to feel sorry for her and they want you to want to protect her and they want to constantly have the characters, going at her and she's just a little girl, what can she do, she can't hurt us, she's just a little girl, constantly bringing up stuff like that with the character dialogue and stuff, and this huge emphasis, and you'll see in developer interviews, which I've already shared before. I don't want to keep repeating myself in every single video that I shoehorn Tomb Raider in, but where they're just like, yeah, this poor, they want you to feel sorry for her, okay? They want you to feel sorry for her, this poor woman, right? I'm sick of it. Dude, we don't want, us women, we don't want to be portrayed that way constantly, where it's the misogyny. Dude, can we just have an escape and play as a fun, kick butt character, dude? So same in this case. I don't want to see Frey constantly be bombarded with sexism, misogyny. I don't want to see Frey. I don't think anybody, a lot of black gamers don't want to see Frey just be bombarded with racism, manufactured racism, fictional racism in the game, right? So yeah. I think a lot of this just, when you really look at games like this and stuff, I think a lot of people who want to hate on gamers, like gaming journalists who hate gamers, because most of them, obviously not all, but they hate gaming, they hate gamers, they hate their lives, they just use this as an outlet to get their politics out there. They just want to, do you want to see her suffer? Really? You want to see this character suffer? This is just where we're at, and for some reason, these people would call me racist, because I want to see, I'd love to see this character. I mean, she could have been an amazing character if it wasn't for that terrible, atrocious writing. This could have been awesome. This could have been amazing, and I'm severely disappointed, but for the writing alone, I can't do it. I just cannot play it. So this is probably going to crash and burn. This isn't going to be good for Square Enix's more Western focus. Maybe they'll pay more attention to more of the, JRPG side of things, which they specialize in. Ideally, I wish they would have took a more stylized approach. I wish they could have taken some notes from Capcom, for example. They had an absolutely gorgeous model to work with here, and unfortunately, they didn't capitalize on just all the potential that this game really had and seemingly has fallen short with. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Also, another reminder for you guys that I have started streaming again. I've been streaming Fire Emblem Engage every single day since it dropped so far, and I'm going to be streaming again later on today at the time of me recording this. You can catch my streams live at twitch.tv/MelanieMac, or if you want to watch the VODs, if you don't use Twitch and you just want to watch them later, you can do so on my other channel at youtube.com/MelanieMac. So thank you again for watching, guys. I will catch you next time, and in the meantime, go boom.